today I wanted to take a look at this Folio palette that I got for Christmas. It is by Art Toolkit, and I was hoping it would replace my little palette here that I've been using for sort of nature sketching, plein air sketching. It is a great little palette, but I really want to experiment with some other colors and have some more convenience greens. I really love mostly drawing sort of details in foliage and little items that I find when I'm out walking in nature. So I feel as though having more greens would allow me to sort of paint faster and not have to do too much work trying to mix a green. So what I did is I actually put in the Watercolor Essentials kit by Daniel Smith. I really love Daniel Smith paints. I would probably say my favorite paints are Roman Schmal, but because they don't come in tubes at all, you can't make your own palettes with them. So I still have my beautiful Roman Schmal palette for my studio paintings, but I find that I really am enjoying these Daniel Smith colors. They activate really fast, they're really pigmented, and I have been really enjoying using this little mixing set. So I will probably be carrying across some of these colors. I may switch out this Pyro Red or the Hansa Light. I'm not sure at this point. I have a couple of other tube paints that I want to take a look at. But for the most part, this was working really well, except I found I wasn't using some of these colors. So I definitely used most of the mixing colors, and then my two sort of convenient greens here are the Serpentine Genuine, and I believe this one is Perylene Green. I wrote down here, I'm not sure whether it was Jadeite or Perylene Green. I know I wrote it down somewhere else, but this was the only little reference card that I could find other than this one here that doesn't have the names on it, so not super helpful. So I really am enjoying these guys. Like I said, I find myself not really using this Cotman Payne's Grey. It's a little bit too washed out, so I don't really tend to use that. The Random Grey I like just for sort of variations in a darker color like shadows and stuff, but again, it's a little bit of a wacky color and a little bit unpredictable, which I don't hate. I just don't tend to use it that much. The sepia I definitely use, but I am really lacking another brown in here, more convenience browns. So I want to make sure that I incorporate some more earth tones in this upcoming palette. I did buy the one with the bigger pans in here. I mean, the reasoning behind why I bought this one is that I wanted sort of a limited palette, but I think after I have been looking at it for a little bit longer that I want to have more colors than this. So I might mix and match some of the standard size and some of these square ones, as well as maybe a couple of minis depending on what colors I choose. So yeah, back to this. I definitely want to incorporate some more earth tones and convenience tones for browns, because if we kind of look at my sketches in here, I'm mostly interested in sort of textures and shapes of leaves and branches and sort of debris that I find, some flowers here and there. But yeah, just really more interested in the greens and browns. And with this little palette here, I have to mix everything, which is not bad because you sort of get to understand your palette a little bit better. But when I'm trying to do a fast sketch, I really miss those colors. So yeah, I think that that's one of my main reasons that I want to switch across. I also like the lower profile of this. When this palette is folded up, it's quite a chunky little guy. So I'm kind of excited to have a thinner palette here to fit into my Luckby tool roll. Yeah, so I think that's the overall sort of reasoning behind why I wanted to build a new palette. I also want to sort of play around with some other mixes. On this particular paper, this is just a drawing paper by Paper Republic. It is not watercolor paper. It really absorbs the color fast, and there's not much time for mixing actually on the paper like you would on a traditional 100% cotton watercolor. But I also like it because it dries so fast and then you can layer on top of it pretty easily. So there are pros and cons to this kind of paper. I also really like Tomoe River paper. I play around with inks a lot, and doing watercolor on that paper is really interesting as well. It kind of sits on the surface, so you can kind of blend your colors, but it does suck an initial layer of color in. It's really interesting. So that is my overall sort of objective with this palette building. So I thought I would just take you guys along on the journey of picking some colors. So let's take a look at all of the colors that I've swatched out. This is kind of my collection of tube paints that I have. There are various different brands in here. A lot of my little tubes were from a initial palette that I bought by Turner. And so I have a lot of little tiny weeny tubes. I think maybe they're like 3 or 5 mils. So I've used a lot of that up, but I put them in here just because I wanted to see if I needed to buy any other colors to supplement. But I think I've got a pretty good collection. So let's take a look. I think I'm going to write down the colors as we go as the ones that I am considering maybe putting in this palette. And then I sort of have a start, and then I can kind of take away colors that I think are too similar or that I'm probably not going to need. I definitely want to pick some mixing colors again. So I want a cool and a warm mixing yellow, blue, and red. So for my cool yellow, originally I have this Daniel Smith Hansa Light, and I do like it. I think I'm going to go with the M. Graham Hansa Yellow Deep with this one. So I think I'm going to write that down, and in editing, I'll probably edit out most of this writing so you don't have to sit here and watch me do that. I think for my warm yellow, I think it's between probably the Daniel Smith New Gamboge or the Van Gogh Indian Yellow. I like both of these. I think they're both going to be really useful. I think I'm probably going to go with the Daniel Smith just because it has more saturation and pigment, and I really kind of like this that it leans into the orange a little bit more, so that just helps with mixing. For these other yellows, I really would love to play with this Core Quinacridone Gold. I only have a couple of core colors and I haven't really played with them at all, so I think I want to write this one down. We'll see if we have room for it, but it is such a rich and interesting color and it just spreads when you use it, so I am kind of interested to use that, and I think it would be great for sort of decaying leaves and just adding that pop of really sort of deep orangey yellow color. So let's put it in as another yellow. Okay, so out of these ones here, I don't think we want any more. I might want a raw sienna, but I think I have, oh yeah, I have another page here. So this one has some of my earth colors in it. So we'll come back to that one, but let's pick our blue. So for our blue, we have Daniel Smith French Ultramarine, which is what is in that little mixing palette. We have Phthalo Blues, we have the M. Graham Anthraquinone Blue. And we also have this Rosa Indanthrone Blue, which I really like, and I have not played with much either, but I really like this Anthraquinone Blue. So we definitely want the French Ultramarine because it is such a fantastic color for mixing. Probably, let's put down the M. Graham Anthraquinone because I have not played with that much, and it looks really deeply saturated, and it is quite different from the ultramarine, so I think I could get some different mixes with that. And the ultramarine is very granulating, so if I don't want that granulation, maybe this will be a good one, but we'll see if we have room. I'd like to include both of those. But then for our cool blue, I think we want to go with either the Daniel Smith Phthalo Blue, because that's a really good mixing color. The Jackson's Phthalo Blue is interesting. It doesn't seem to have as much pigmentation, and I know I really enjoy this Daniel Smith one, so we might go with that. We have Schmincke Helio Turquoise, which is a lovely mixing color. I think I'm going to go with the Daniel Smith Phthalo. Okay, so then we have our blues, and you know what, I'm going to put this Core Cobalt Teal in there because I really want to have that in there. It's just such a vibrant color and really interesting just to put a spot of this into your work. It just sort of brightens it up. So what is that? I'm just going to put it as a teal. Let's do the reds. So for the reds, I really want to try this M. Graham Pyro Red. Look how rich and delicious that is. So I think I'm going to swap out, because in this mixing kit, there's a pyrrole here, which is this one. And it is a very orange-leaning pyrrole, which I really enjoy. But I think I'm going to go for this. It's leaning a little into the cool, but I think I'm going to give it a go. I think I want to try that. So I think I'm going to put down red as MG Pyrrole, or Pyrrole. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. And then for my cool red, I think I either want Quinacridone Rose or Alizarin Crimson. You know what, I think I'm going to do the Quin Rose, the Daniel Smith, because I love this color. It's really great for mixing. This alizarin crimson is gorgeous, but it is a little bit more into the warmer side, and I want a definite cool. So let's go with the Daniel Smith Quinacridone Rose. Okay, so that's our reds. Do we want anything down here? I definitely want to put in a Potter's Pink. I think the only Potter's Pink I have in tube form is this Winsor Newton, and it's super highly granulating. It's really awesome. So I think I'm going to put that in. I do like this Volcano Red from Schmincke, which is sort of similar. It's pretty highly granulating, but I like the sort of more neutralness of this Potter's Pink. So I'm going to put that in. I'm just going to put it in the red section here too. Okay, so we have our major mixing colors. Let's do our earth colors. I really like Turner Transparent Red Oxide. It is similar to the Burnt Sienna, but it is a little bit more vibrant. So I'm going to put that down just because. We definitely want a Raw Sienna. I thought I had a different Raw Sienna. Oh, yes, I have a Jackson's Raw Sienna. So this Raw Sienna is looking quite yellow. This Jackson's one has a little bit more brown in it. So seeing as we already have the Queen Gold and the New Gamboge, I think I'm going to go with the Jackson's Raw Sienna. I'm going to put it down anyway. Do we want the Jackson's Raw Umber too? I'm going to put it down. Do we want a Burnt Sienna and a Burnt Umber? I feel like we kind of do. I think I'm going to put the MG because it's very different from the transparent red oxide. So we've already got this one written down. Let's put the MG Burnt Sienna because that is a really delicious color. I think I want to go with the Bloodstone Genuine as my black, just because it has so much dimension in it and it's good for little bits of dead foliage and stuff. So I am going to put that one down. Maybe that's as a dark Bloodstone Genuine, and then let's put the light down as the Buff Titanium. And I don't tend to use a lot of either of these, so maybe they'll be like these mini ones. Maybe we'll split a section. I'm not sure how I'm going to lay it out. This is that whole thing too. You've only got so much space in here. So we're going to have a look at that as well. All right, so now onto our convenience greens. I think I really want the Apatite and the Serpentine, just because these are so interesting. They look a little sort of neon on here. Sometimes you do get a little element of that, but for the most part, you kind of get the mid-tones here with a bit of dirty wash on it. I don't know if you can see that in there. So I think I want both of those. I think I'm going to put the Undersea. And all of these are actually Daniel Smith colors because I really like the brand, and I think these genuine colors are really interesting. And I think I also want to put in this olive green maybe, if we have room. And then I would also like to put one of these perylines in. So this is a Shadow Green by Holbein and the Schmincke Perylene Green. Maybe I'll put the Shadow Green in because I think I had the Perylene in my last palette. So I have played with that a little bit and I haven't really used the Holbein one. So let's put that in. Okay. All right. So that's our greens. I think we can leave these grays. This forest gray is actually really, really nice and has some granulation and some separation in it. Ooh, I kind of want to put that in. I'm going to put it down as maybe another dark. That one may get cut, but I really enjoy using it. So I kind of want it in there. All right, so how are we doing? Ooh, oh gosh, we have our gorgeous Payne's Grays here. But this one here, this Cotman one, was not great. Ooh, maybe I want the Luna Blue. I think I want the Luna Blue. I'm going to put down the Luna Blue and the Payne's Gray, and we may have to choose. Okay, so have we done... Yes, we've done all of our colors. So 25. That seems like a lot of colors. I think we're going to have a look at the palette and see how many we can fit in there. And maybe I'll sample these out and see if this is a good palette, because it's hard to tell, even though you're sort of looking at these, it's hard to tell actually what colors you have until you put them out. So maybe I'll just do a little swatch of all of these and we will go from there. Okay, so here's all of our choices swatched out, and I think it's a pretty good collection. I am still not sure about this anthraquinone blue. I'm not sure that I need it in there as well as this, and I kind of like the Payne's Gray better. This is the Luna Blue, and it's very different from all of these. It has a little bit more green in it, so I'm not sure that I need this. I know I'm not going to get rid of the ultramarine just because this is such a great mix in colors, so maybe I don't need this one, and maybe I will put in the Payne's Gray just because it's so beautiful and quite different to the ultramarine. In our greens here, we have a bunch of greens. Do I need all those greens? Probably not, but I love that they're all quite different and varied, and I just love this. Look at this undersea green, and it breaks out to all these little different colors in here. I think you could paint just a leaf using this one color just because it has all these different colors in it. And this is the Forest Gray, which I was wondering whether I wanted to keep in or not. It is super interesting. I think this is the Sepia also. I don't think I need both of these. I mean they're not the same at all. They're very different, but this is just so interesting, and drawing foliage and nature, I just think, again, you know, there's so much dimension just in that one color. So I kind of want to play with that, even though I think the sepia would be a great sort of mixing color. I just don't want to have too many colors in there because I just won't remember that I have all these colors in the palette, and I'm sure some of them will get neglected. So I think I want to keep these two for sure because this is my light and my dark, like a black and a white. I don't think I'm going to use a ton of that, but it's just nice to have on hand if I need a really dark color to mix into something. So I don't think I'm going to do the sepia or the anthraquinone blue. So how many does that leave us with? 24. So 24 all up, and the palette itself has 15 double pans. So I think I kind of want to have my greens in bigger pans because I'm definitely going to use those the most. And then maybe I just use standard pans for the other ones. Let's pop this out and have a look. So this is the lovely little palette. It opens up. Oh, and we have a mixing space here. This is just a card. Okay, so we have these big pans here, and then I have a bunch of these ones. Okay, so how about we do that, and then I think I'm going to put my greens in the middle here because I just want to be able to get to those fast, and sort of a visual differentiation would be easier for me, I guess. That's what my brain's telling me. Yeah, so let's get labeling these and then we'll start filling. Okay, so I've nearly finished filling up all these little pans. So what I ended up doing was actually writing the names of the paint on the back, and that really helped the process of finding what colors went where. I ordered them in how I thought they would be intuitive to the way that I paint. I didn't think filling these to the brim made much sense because I'm still sort of exploring as to whether this palette of colors is going to work. I did end up putting back in the anthraquinone blue because I thought about it and I was like, I really want to try this out. I really want to play with it. And it is different enough from the ultramarine. So I just decided to do that. So that is in here, and we'll see if I ever use it. I want to kind of do some mixes with it and just see how it works out in the field. So that was my decision on that one. So to accommodate that, I ended up just splitting this one into little mini pans. So I put in the Bloodstone Genuine and the Buff Titanium together, because I know that I'm not really going to use those a lot. And I think that will be enough paint for those little guys. And again, I can refill it if I end up using it, or switch and swap some stuff out. So I'm just going to show you how I've been filling it. I've been using this little sort of, I think it's like a scoring tool or something. It has double ends. It has like a little silicone end here, and then it has like a little ball tip on here. I like this better than the really pointy ones because it doesn't scratch the bottom of the pan too much. It's really easy to move around. It is a little bit of a pain to clean because you got to get in that groove, but I've just been wiping it off with a lint-free towel and then just washing it really quickly and drying it off. So it's been pretty fast, and I haven't had to throw out a bunch of toothpicks. It's pretty clean. It doesn't tend to get too messy. So let's just fill this one. So this is number 24, which is M. Graham's Payne's Grey. So that's here. So the M. Graham ones are beautiful to fill. I am not 100% sure that they're actually going to dry very well. So I am a little concerned about these because they tend to stay pretty wet, but I'm not filling it to the brim. Like I said, I'm just putting in, let's see if I can get it close up. So I'm just putting in like a blob. Maybe I'll put in a little bit more. So just about that much. And then what I'm going to do is sort of mix it around in case any of the binder and the pigment is sort of unmixed. These ones are pretty lovely. So it's very wet, and it's just going to coat the bottom of this tray. I may want to put more in depending on how much shrinkage there is, and I won't feel bad if I don't end up using it all because there's not a ton of paint in there, but it'll definitely give me enough to go out and about with. So then I've just been popping it in. And this seems like a pretty easy way to do it. I think if you put the pans in and then fill them in there, it might be hard to sort of mix them around. So I have been having a nice relaxing time doing this. So I'm just wiping this off with a lint-free paper towel. And then over here I have some water that I'm dipping it in, and then I'm just wiping that off too so that there's no paint stuck in there. So let's do the same with these little baby ones. So this is the Bloodstone Genuine. I've sort of had a pile of paint and I've been putting them away into another container once I use it. So the selection gets smaller and smaller and easier to find. So this one is really tiny. So I'm just going to put a little blob in there. That looks attractive. And then I'm going to mix that one around. And I'm kind of just pushing it into the sides. This one I kind of filled a lot. I forgot how teeny tiny it was. So I'm just sort of mixing it together in case there's any binder separation, and trying not to go too fast. I don't want to incorporate a ton of air bubbles. But for the most part, I haven't been getting too messy. This is probably the messiest one, actually. I have some paint on my hand there. And then I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Make sure that it's not on the sides. That looks good. And then I'm just going to pop it in. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the Buff Titanium one in first because there's this little lip here and it is a little hard to get in. So let's do the Buff Titanium. These are a little awkward to hold. They're very tiny. I'm just going to put some in there. And then I like to close the paint up straight away, otherwise I lose the lid. And then again, I'm just going to sort of mix this up a little bit. Again, these little mini ones really don't take much paint. It looks as though I'm filling it right to the brim here. It will dry, it'll lose half its weight when it dries, but it is much easier to work with when it's not very full. And also, you don't want it to be too full. Like if you fill it to the top now, it should be fine because it will shrink when it dries. But if you overfill it, it's going to stick to the top of the palette. I've seen a couple of people commenting on that before. So I'm trying to be hyper aware of not overfilling these. All right, so let's pop our Buff Titanium in and then put our Bloodstone Genuine, and then I'm just going to pull that back up, and there we have it. So yeah, I found this really relaxing to do. I really like filling all these. I am surprised that I didn't drop any upside down or get a lot of paint anywhere. I did a pretty good job. I was very surprised with myself. Normally I'm very clumsy. So if I can do it, you can do it. And hopefully this just gives you some insight into how this palette works and how you could fill it. I ended up putting my split primers here, so my cool and warm reds and blues and yellows. And then I sort of went in from lightest to dark this way. I'm probably just going to close it but not actually close it so that there's a little bit of air circulating, but I don't want a bunch of dust to get on here. Okay, so I'll probably let this dry for about a week and then we will meet back together and I will do the swatching of the palette, see if I've moved anything around, and do some color mixing and maybe some little paintings to see how it works out. So thanks for spending this time with me. Hopefully it was helpful. I'll put the part 2 to this video in the description below, and I'll also just put it on the end screen as well so you can click off and watch the next part. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.